You can tell a lot about where people are at when using AI by the words that they use to describe what they're doing, how they're presenting what they're doing, or even what they're actually delivering. Because even a lot of the AI transformation firms might be out there still running on manual back office and Google Docs. I started taking AI seriously about early 2023 to constantly improve the way that I work, deliver value. When I increase the value for I deliver for clients and the value that I can create from researching to auditing to sales calls to combing through piles of information to find the needle in the haystack. And a lot of companies right now, agencies, consultancies are pressured to become AI native. And a lot of people are talking about it. So, what I want to do in this pod is peel back the curtain and actually share firsthand experience of what I'm actually doing in my own company, as well as what I'm helping some clients go through. Because this is a journey. This is not like a one and done thing. It's not something else you do in one day. It's a constant evolution. And I think there's a version of your company that is worth building towards. If you're working in a team or you're actually leading the team or you're running the company, getting out of the trap of how do I avoid getting replaced to create a new kind of company, the one that delivers your value to your customers, even with more value or faster speed to value or increasing your margins or potentially creating a category of one where you can own and really create new pricing or creative pricing to help clients go further. Now, the only way we can actually do this is by embracing the technology for good. So everything that I do inside of my own company runs on AI. And yes, the more that I work with it, the more that I want to have local models that I own that work and run here. We'll get to that in a second. But before we dive into the tech, what I want to give you here is a framework of migrating your own work to become AI native so that you can build the firm of the future using a systems perspective instead of chasing the latest fancy tool or automation or Claude MD. And whatever you see online right now, by the way, as a side note, whatever you see online right now with other people sharing, hey, get my skill, get this, a lot of it is hot garbage. If it is worth looking into, just have one of your agents reverse engineer it. Don't copy and paste things that people are posting out there or skill sets or uploading them to your like whatever OpenAI or Anthropic, whatever you're using. Don't automatically upload that because literally you can reverse engineer it and some of those may or may not have malware. All right, getting back to the original point, there are 4 stages right now to migrate your company to become more AI native, and they are sequential. Each builds on top of each other. You can't just go from step 1 or stage 1 to stage 4. But here's the thing. You want to operate at the stage that you're comfortable at. So you don't need to get to stage 4 if you're comfortable at 2 and 3. But I would recommend knowing all these, seeing the potential in these, and maybe having some of your part of your company run at multiple stages, but to the level that you can manage and the level that you're comfortable. The 4 stages in order are enhancement, stage 1, stage 2, augmentation, stage 3, parallel operations, and stage 4, autonomy. So let's dive through each. So in stage 1, enhancement, this is where everyone actually starts, and this is where you probably are, where I've been as well. But this is when people say, I use AI in my work. So there's a lot happening in the market right now, and people using AI in their work, even your team is either telling you they're using it or they're not telling you. That's called a shadow AI, where team members are using it to operate based on your company data or your client's data without you knowing. So it is important for you to orchestrate it and have everything dialed in one location. But the key thing here is every person right now is using the technology to enhance what they're currently doing. This is a simple stage. You are already doing your daily workflow, but you're just leveraging and topping AI on top of what you're doing to do things faster, to go a little deeper, or to create real efficiencies. So if you're a leader, it's up to you to make sure that you can help the team and empower them to use the infrastructure that you have created that is safe, that's not training the actual LLMs or the frontier models on your proprietary data sets. Make sure you have the right plans and make sure that your team is using them accordingly. What doesn't change in this stage for your company is how you structure your operations, your offerings, or your price points. You're not redesigning your work. You're just improving the work that you're currently doing. For example, in the past, I would audit for teams, for clients, I would audit their sales calls. I would go through their gong recordings and listen to as much as I could in a day. Now that's a lot. I couldn't listen to the last 3 months in one day. However, with AI, obviously, with my frameworks, I've been able to train AI on that, look at the call transcripts, help identify what I wanted to find, and find the needles in the haystack within a day and be able to audit literally 3-6 months within a short time frame and leverage my frameworks to get to the truth or get to the answers that I wanted for the insights that I needed to work on for my clients to get value quickly because I needed to deliver value in a short amount of time. So I'd use my judgment, my frameworks, my way of auditing and analyzing calls and using AI to make work more efficient. This is stage one. And you're probably doing that right now, maybe with client prep, maybe for research, maybe for cleaning up your CRM. And a lot of the tools that you currently use now are adding their co-pilots. They're becoming quote unquote AI native. So there's nothing new here. The only thing is that you might be doing what used to take hours in 20 minutes. But the dark side of this is that you might be doing more 20-minute work. So instead of doing one thing for 4 hours, you might be doing 12 or 15 things for 20 minutes. So you're using up the same amount of time. You're just being more productive or doing more. But burnout can be real here. So maybe you're not really doing a lot more to get time back, but you are getting more work done. The only caveat is to be careful is burnout, because burnout is real here. Now, enhancement gives you more capacity, but now it's up to you for how you use it. And this stage one in enhancement, has its own ceiling. You can't cross even further because you can't just do more in the same amount of time. You can be more effective, your margins could improve, and you might do more by the hour, but it doesn't fundamentally change how you run your business to become AI native. It doesn't change your operations, your team structure, your margin structure, like your actual profit margin, your actual leadership structure, or your go-to-market. Enhancement, I think, is an important stage to be aware of. This is where most people are at, but it's the foundation. It's not the actual infrastructure change that's going to change how you work and how you deliver value. It's a prerequisite for stage two, which is augmentation. So this is where things start to change in phase two or stage two. It's less about delivering more outputs. It's less about doing more and focused on packaging your intellectual property, how you deliver value to clients and deliver that value at scale. And one of the biggest internal lessons for me, and it took me over 2 years to develop this daily habit, was to write every day, to think about my own thinking, to write something about it, and to publish that, even internally or just in my notes app. And to actually get into that practice took me 2 years to do that, thanks to Seth Godin's program and Ship 30's program. But thinking about your own thinking is just another fancy way of saying writing. I need you to write. I still need you to think, because the difference between doing more work and scaling your IP, your methodology, how you deliver value, is when you define your methodology of how you deliver value to clients. And when you can define that and articulate it, you can train AI or agents or workflows to help you compound what you already do, to either do it more effectively, to go deeper with clients, to delivering your intellectual property at scale without you need to be there at every step. But most importantly, this radically changes how you see your work and how you execute that work. Now, a lot of the things that you're doing right now is based on a method. It's based on a protocol. It's based on the things that have gone success for clients in the past. You just have to codify it. If you haven't had it documented, you need to document it. Because if you're not documented, it's like the old trap. You're either going to keep doing it yourself, have someone in your team do it based on the culture or what they actually think needs to be done, or your team plus technology is going to do it. But then now you can start leveraging AI and agents, like actual agents, with the right tooling, the right process, the right methodology to fill in the gaps to help your clients go further. And I talked about this and I wrote about this in the services stack, where you can't train AI to your level of judgment. Okay, your particular insight, your nuanced take on client deliverables. But you can train AI on simple execution with things that needs to get done, with templatized strategy or if-then conditional strategy. You can do that. One important thing that I want you to do is there's a point where AI ends and your thinking begins. And when I'm encouraging you here to write about your own thinking, to put down your methodology, to actually codify it, is to understand what is the 10% that you intuitively drive? What's the nuance that you bring to the table? Because if you know how these things are trained or how they actually developed, they don't have every single piece of data point in the universe because they don't have experiential knowledge. They don't have relational knowledge. There's a lot of things that you still bring to the table. All right, without diving into that, I just want you to think about what is the last 10% of your intuitive judgment of what a client actually needs in the strategy and direction that you need to take a client. How do you codify that so that you know this is where AI ends, everything else the AI can do, or the series of agents can do, and I'll share more about that. But here is where I come in. Here's the nuanced takes that I can do. Because once you're able to do this, and I'm speaking from experience here, you're able to take work that used to take 20 to 40 hours, and in some cases for me on average 20 hours, and condense that down to half a day. And that's what, 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours? Not exaggerating. That's just something that I'm personally doing. And I know where the AI ends. I know where I need to step in, where I need to be a co-creator, a thought partner, and also directing it of what we need to do. For example, and I'll give you a clear example here. I've had this advantage, and if you might have this advantage too, if you've written about your own thinking. I've written down my methodologies and published several books. None of them made the Wall Street Journal or New York Times. They helped clients get real revenue. That's all I really care about. But the whole key thing is I was able to train my agents from day one based on all my writings and methodologies, over 566 different thought pieces, like how I think, the frames that I have, the approaches that I have in the world. And it's, again, this is what it told me, what my agent told me. It's indexed over 3,000 documents of our conversation strategies and actual things that drive the chain. However, with that, I've been codifying my methodology, not into just one master skill, but a series of 9 to 12 different skill sets and different agents and toolings that can run and help me execute for clients, not just faster, but higher quality in a shorter amount of time. And now I can add net new value to clients. All the parts that I know AI is going to do better for me: deep research, competitive landscaping, surfacing insights from specific questions that I'm looking for based on specific contexts or situations that we're facing. I always know and feel where I'm going to take the client, how we're going to craft their offer, what we need to transform in their business, what the mindset of the client is, because I've literally trained thousands of entrepreneurs. I've seen behind the scenes of hundreds of businesses. From my perspective, I do know what's going to work, what's not going to work, but I'm leveraging AI here as a co-partner to help me co-create things that I couldn't do at this level of speed. I am working and executing now at the speed of my thoughts. All right, that's a real thing. You can probably do that as well, and you're probably experiencing that too if you've been delving into the technology, actually using it to its full potential. But here, I want to discuss a few things. Speed to value is the first metric that you're going to feel, and speed to value is the first metric that you're going to measure. Like, how quickly can you get to value? I think that's great. We're always thinking about efficiencies, but I think on the split side, we need to start talking about what's the net new value. Because once you understand efficiencies and you're able to get to value faster, then it really begs the question, what is net new that I couldn't do before? What are the things that I can add value to my clients and help them achieve that I couldn't do before, or because I didn't have the competencies in terms of technology or the team members, or because I didn't have the time and my bandwidth was stuck in the things that, again, used to take 20 hours, now take about 2.5 to 3 hours. Either your bandwidth, your energy, your money was sucked into other areas. And now what is the net new? This is all a Substack post, by the way. If you want, go to my Substack, dogoodwork.substack.com. And I have a link here to a whole essay on what net new value, and also another YouTube around what net new value is. All right. So anyways, the key thing for this stage, for stage 2, the prerequisite is for you to codify your intellectual property. Now, I know a lot of people, and I've talked to these founders, and a lot of them were former clients as well. They're thinking, if I train the thing, isn't the thing just going to steal my IP? Yes and no. Yes and no. It's like saying, if I connect to the internet, is it going to steal on my entire bank account? You can't bank on the internet. Everyone banks on the internet now. All right. So just think about that. There are some features and some level of plans that you can buy where the data is more protected. You don't train it on your own data. And plus, where everyone is trusting, even the government is trusting. It's not training on its data. All right. So all I'm saying is that if you want to move forward and move fast, do the right things compliantly, but also think about this. How do you codify your intellectual property? Now, if you haven't actually written down your own thoughts in terms of writing, that is the number one strategy you can do right now. Think about your own thinking. Just spend 10 to 15 minutes every day. Use that organ in your head that didn't cost you $100 billion or whatever the number is, that can do significantly more. Use that organ in your head. Think about your own thinking. Reason through and know, where does AI end and my thinking begin? If you can't do that, I'm not here to scare you, but legitimately, if you can't do that, you will be replaced. You are in real trouble. All right, stage 3. Now that we do that, now we talk into stage 3 where it's parallel operations. So similar to stage 2 is an agent working with you to deliver value. But now in parallel operations, you're also looking at the other areas of your business model to help create agents to help you become more effective and more valuable. Now, when I talk about business models, a lot of people are like, okay, what is a business model? The nice thing is that there's a formula to a business model. A lot of these things are formulaic. One of my favorite approaches to a business model is the business model canvas. Been using this tool for, I don't even know, over 14 years. It's an amazing tool. But essentially, here are the different criteria that make up your business model: your value proposition, how you keep client relationships, how you reach clients, who your ideal client profile is, your ICP, how you make money, your pricing structure, the key activities, your key vendors, partnerships and resources, and your cost structure, meaning your expenses and your overhead. That sounds like a lot, but I codified this into 3 parts. Every single business in the world runs on these 3 parts. Codifying the business model, and you operationalize it with number 1, operations, administration, finance, strategy team. Number 2, product, client fulfillment, lifetime value, retention, R&D, inventing new ways to help clients go further, product. So you have your operations, you have your product, which is your service or products that you help clients go further. Then you have marketing and sales, how you get and keep clients, rinse and repeat. I combine marketing and sales. That's a different conversation for a different time, but those are the 3 essentials that every single business in the world has: operations, product, marketing, and sales. Yes, your people live under operations because everything runs with either you, another human, or a machine. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to not oversimplify, but showing you. Now, if you've codified how you deliver value under product, now what if we codify how you operate, how you get and retain clients, your key customer relationships, your key activities? You just need to know, again, where AI falls short and where you need to come in. And you also need to know, okay, this is like the beginning of philosophy. What is real? Based on what is real, what are other people? How do I treat other people based on what I know? Some companies right now are treating people like machines. Do you want to be that company? I don't think so. If you're listening to me, you probably don't. I think that humans are at the forefront, that we have to help humans flourish. The technology has to be for us to enable flourishing, for our communities to flourish, for you to flourish, for your business to flourish, for your customers to flourish, for your impact to flourish. You can hear the voice tone change. Might be a little passionate about this. Key thing, how are you codifying your operations? How are you going to execute that? Another key note is that the key operators that I've been working with and friends that I have, or tech leaders, or even clients who are literally leaders in the space, CTOs, leaders at other tech firms, at other big name companies that you might know, the conversations and what I'm hearing, the best operators right now with this technology still keep the human at the loop, or in the loop, just involved with the AI, where the agents, the AI reports back to you and works alongside you. That's stage 3. You're running parallel operations, helping you execute. They execute, they report back to you, you iterate, you think, and then you move forward. So you're literally staffing a small team or a small set of functions that you've programmed based on what you know needs to happen for the business to grow internally, for your clients to thrive in all 3 core areas: product, marketing, operations. And this is exactly what Jensen Huang described. We're entering the era where it's not the best model that wins. It's the system that harnesses you and the models that you use. Is essentially the systems thinking, the strategy of how you're using these tools and directing them to an end goal and an outcome that you can utilize to flourish, ROI, to help people go further. So you can leverage literally any AI model, LLM, free, open source, frontier, to create value for yourself, for your company, for your clients, for the marketplace, again, for you to thrive. I'm not overstating this is not an SEO strategy. I just really care. How do you make this tech pay for itself so that you can help other people go further? Now, a lot of what I've spoken isn't just theoretical. Let me give you some real examples and agentic workflows. I think I have about 9 examples I'm going to share with you. And some of these I am going to give you overviews. I have literally copy and paste templates that you can read yourself and audit, that it's clean, it's completely in Markdown, that you can audit and read at dogoodwork.substack.com. You can take a look at it. And then from there, you'll be able to know how these things work and also codify it for yourself, or even hand it over to your agent so your agent can start building this out with you. And you don't have to copy anything that I do. You just say, hey, this is inspiration. What can we do? All right, so the first thing that I would recommend you build right now for parallel operations is building your security agent. It's probably the most important things that you can do, and it's not sexy. It's critical though, because if you're still downloading skills from the internet, pulling repositories from GitHub to enhance your agents, or using repositories assuming they're safe, don't do it. Some of them might have malware. Like, you might be uploading skills that are potentially dangerous. So here's the ingredients of what my actual security agent does. Please feel free to copy and paste this into your own agents. Again, I don't have anything for you to download. I don't have any repository for you to go and just swipe this. I'm giving this to you in plain human language in English. All right, so this is what my security agent does for me, and I'm just going to give you a quick summary of that. It reviews any code before I actually install it. It audits any repo before I ever touch it. And we actually have a rule where it actually never auto downloads or auto runs or auto executes without, one, auditing it for security. Number two, it builds it from scratch, meaning if someone has code written on the repository, we actually don't download the code and install it. We just rewrite the code based on our filter to make sure that we're writing it clean with a fresh build. We don't download, we build. I also audit any API connection. And if you're using Mac, which I am, it stores any API key into the keychain, never in plain text and never in environment files. Like that's super critical right now. That you might have your API keys literally hiding in plain text. That if something malicious were to happen, or you would get hacked, or you visited the wrong website, they were able to find all your API keys, which means that they could run all the tools that you run on your behalf and cost you a lot, or even steal from you. It also watches out for anything I do in my workflows that touches sensitive business information. It knows what to store, what not to store, which is really important. And it runs before other agents run. So if I tell it to do something, we're building something new, I always have it go through the security agent. So it's like a security layer. The second thing that I think is useful for you to build out for your operations, parallel operations, was what I call a review chain. So this is the heart of a lot of the things that can happen at stage 3, is that if you just run a single agent, they can make mistakes. They hallucinate, they miss context, they make things up to make you happy. They can get lost inside their own prompt instructions, like they can forget to run. And the fix isn't just to let's make this agent super strong and super smart and harden the agent. The fix, for me at least, is a chain. So the chain is actually a worker agent that does the grunt work and produces the draft. It could be a research, a deliverable, or an analysis. And then above it, I have a domain expert agent, which we trained based on my domain expertise in that specific thing. So I have 9 agents working for me, like a sales agent, a content agent, ops agent, etc. And they review the output. And also the worker agent has to show its work. It has to prove its work. It can't just say I did the thing. It has to prove the logic. The domain expert reads it and reviews it. If it's wrong, it sends it back to do the work. And then the chief agent, the top of the chain, is a cross-domain agent. It's the chief that manages all my agents. And it works with me to collaborate based on what the agents did. And then I, with the agent, make the final call, and then we execute. So why this matters is that everything has its own homework, and you can grade that homework. The domain expert catches any errors that the worker can't see, and the chief agent catches errors upon multiple domains and works with me to make sure that we're in alignment and make sure that we can run it. And then most of the time with that, honestly, it's pretty spot on. So you don't need 3 layers for every piece of your work, like light, simple work. Hey, search this domain or search this topic. But for full chain work, like you're actually doing specific strategy decisions or client-facing outputs or anything with an execution cost, you should probably run it through the chain. You never want to trust a worker's agent to self-report on quality, because sometimes workers say, hey, I did an amazing job. I worked for 5 hours. Here's my output. And you can't just trust it. It has to prove its work. It can't hide from the output. So you always want to press your agents to do better in review. And I've just codified that with a systems review. So going back to stage 3, I gave you 2 simple examples. Again, what I would do in parallel operations. So actually what I did in parallel operations so that you can model it and work with your agents to build this out. But the prerequisite for this stage is that you know how to build agents or know enough to direct someone else or your AI to build it for you. You can articulate your methodology and approach well enough so that you know exactly where AI falls short and where your nuanced thinking and strategy and brain come in, either yours or your team's. And the only way to do that is to codify everything, to understand the nuances of your and your team's actual thinking and judgment and the execution that needs to happen. And you leverage the agents to parallel the work with you as actual quote unquote co-workers, not just tools, but jobs to be done. So that's the prerequisite to actually fully utilize stage 3. Now, stage 4 is autonomy. And this is where we need to be careful, either because 1, it's been oversold, like with OpenClaw, or it's been misunderstood. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of open source. I love everything about the open source community when it's done right and with the right intent. But what I do want to make clear is a lot of these are pre-programmed to feel autonomous. No AI agent thinks on its own. And there's a lot of people with a lot of investment, a lot of money that have to show the world or convince the world that it actually does, because they have to make the money back. But right now, no AI agent actually thinks on its own. It's pre-programmed to execute because they use cron jobs, they run on a schedule, or they use heartbeats. They wake up and they run something that's pre-programmed. So your job is to design a system that anticipates your needs without asking for it. How do you anticipate your needs without asking for it for the needs that you know you're going to have and the needs that you don't know you're going to have? It's really interesting. But you can do that. You can design it. So for example, I moved a lot of my operational HQ into Obsidian because it's a simple markdown file editor. But for there, I can do everything. I can sync it to the cloud. I can have team members access parts of the vault. I can connect applications to it. I have a history, and everything that I work with my agents gets logged. Now with Obsidian, it's like a daily planner for me. It's like an execution for me. It's like it has everything preset for me every single day. How do I do that? Because I have a heartbeat that goes throughout the day. It logs my progress. It tracks everything that I'm doing based on what I report to it, from sales to product delivery to any innovation. And it also does some things on its own, and I'll share that in just a second, to my own ideas, to the content or the things that I want to get done that day. And then also reads my schedule, and based on who I'm meeting, it creates an agenda in alignment to my goals and my purpose for my work. And it has my ethos baked into it. And I'll share more about that in a second. So by the time that I show up at my desk, it has everything ready for me to go in a daily note. And for you, this might sound, or maybe for some, but not for everyone, this might sound like some genius AI that thought about it on its own. To be honest with you, I just designed this based on what I actually know that I need. And plus, I've actually run teams and scaled multiple agencies. I've helped lead others, and I know what it takes to run a company. I know what I need. I know what other people need. I know how the infrastructure that's needed. And it just does it for me. And honestly, my computer never sleeps anymore. I might turn it off over the weekends just for my own peace of mind. But every day I show up, I have a daily note that tells me, hey, here's the date. Here's who you're talking to today. And every single person has their own CRM card with their own agenda, with their own key thing what I'm going to talk about. It also has my goals based on what I've trained at SoulMD. And I'll give you the example of the SoulMD in the Substack, where essentially the main orientation is human flourishing, so that I flourish, my clients flourish, and whoever I speak to flourishes. And it also shares with me the key actions I need to do today based on those goals. Then it goes through my key habits, the people that I talk to, or the writing that I would want to do that day, or the content that I need to think about. It also goes through value adds that it thought about and quote unquote dreamt about overnight for clients or agendas that I have to run that day. And it also helps me plan out things that I should build for the future, like redesigning an agent or changing an approach here or changing a workflow. And that structure I've trained teams on, like leadership teams at retreats or one-on-ones in my 80-20 training. And that's like a free 40-minute training that you can watch. It's called 80-20 training. Just Google Raul Hernandez 80-20 training. It'll show up. It's a 40-minute video. And it literally, that structure is what I use. And now my agents pre-fill everything for me and do work for me. So if you go to Substack as well, dogoodwork.substack.com, you'll be able to find a template of my daily note. It's a really robust markdown template. You can tell your agent to do the same thing. And it also tracks my accomplishments. So I actually list and I have a final list at the end of the day, what I got done that day. I also, on that same Substack, have a templatized version of my SoulMD. And this is how you instruct your agent to behave when working with you and other agents. So I'm not going to read the whole SoulMD because it's very long, but I want to dive through the structure and actually read a few things for you that I think would be helpful. So when you go to the Substack, you can just copy and paste. You can read it first so you can see that there's nothing malicious about it, but read it first and you can copy and paste this and review it later. But the SoulMD has a template section of how to use it. So the SoulMD is not the system, it's who the system is. It's describing here's who you are, here are your values, and here's what we're never going to do, and here's how you're going to talk to me, here's how you're going to execute, here's how you're going to think about things when we talk about these things, here are the boundaries that you have, here's the relationship that we have together, here's the vision that we have, here's how you're going to evolve on your own. And from there, it runs every single time. There's clear instructions in that SoulMD that I have templatized for you to see how this is going to run. One of the things that I think is important that I want to read verbatim here is the human flourishing part, because I think this is really, really, really important. And this has fundamentally changed how my technology works. So I think it is worth reading, is that everything in the system that we build must help other humans flourish, and it must help Raul, me, in this case, you replace it with your name, flourish. If an optimization serves metrics but not people, it fails the test. If a shortcut saves time but undermines trust, dignity, or real value, it fails the test. This means never fabricate data. Dishonesty degrades trust. Never automate away the human relationship. The network is the greatest asset. And never optimize for efficiency at the cost of the soul of the work. End quote. The reason I wanted to share that with you is a lot of the slop and a lot of the crap and a lot of the things that we're seeing from AI is because people don't know how to actually orient their technology to harness it in the right direction. And I wanted to share that with you because those simple lines, have radically changed my interaction with technology, the things we're able to build, the decisions we work through, the strategies I'm able to co-create, and the ideas I'm able to drive forward. Obviously, there's still times where I direct it because I know what needs to work, or sometimes it deviates because you're using providers or you're having it local. Regardless, it has some presets, like working with any human. It has some presets, some pre-orientations already set up, but still, that has fundamentally changed the approach, and I think it's been very fruitful. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, going back to what else my agents do is that it takes note on what happens overnight. So it has quote unquote dream mode, and again, I'm not using the OpenClaw right now, but you can really set this up yourself. Is that because essentially it's just Python scripts. You're setting up automated scripts to do this, but in quote unquote dream mode, it consolidates its own memory and it lists the accomplishment of the day and tracks. It tracks for me personally, am I being more productive or am I just doing busy work? And just to give you some transparency to that, because again, that's the number one KPI, productivity. On a regular day, pre-AI, pre-native AI, I would get maybe 3 big things or 6 big things done. That's a pretty good day. And like on a weekend or on a day with no calls, maybe 13 things. And those are pretty good days. Like to be honest with you, if you're focusing on high level strategic things or executing on those things. Now, at the end of the day now, like with native AI, my average day is like 30 to 40 things accomplished. And a peak day, like my latest peak day was close to 80 things accomplished. So efficiency, again, is an easy measurement. It's a real measurement because these are things that are getting done on my behalf or things I'm co-leading or things I'm executing by myself. But the real measure is net new value. The value I'm creating for myself, for my clients, for things that I couldn't do before or wasn't able to do at the highest capacity that I wanted. And the easiest measure for me for net new value is revenue produced based on work we co-produced with my agents. And I don't like putting numbers to it to sound hype, but I'll just say just in the last couple of months, it's been north of 6 figures for myself and clients included. And this is outside of clients whose deal sizes are like 5 to 20 million. So that's a real number. Those are real things that are happening. And these are just like, this is the beginning. There's some things that are in the pipeline that haven't even closed yet for myself and clients. And this isn't because AI did all the thinking by itself. It just amplified what we were already doing for myself and for my clients. Now, here are some more examples of autonomous pieces that are running in the background for you to get a taste of what phase 4 can look like. And here's actually what's running for me. So the first one is a pre-call research and agendas automatically. Now, this one's pretty simple, but for every call on my calendar, there's a research dossier, a draft on the agenda before I ever show up to the call. And the draft and the research is based on my goal. So every time I sit down with someone, I know who I'm meeting and what our goal for that conversation is based on who they are, my goals, because it's trained on my goals, what the next strategic move is, and also maybe vetting who I could connect them with, because I have my network literally connected with in my database. So I can literally think, this happened for real. Someone reached out to me, a friend of mine. He's like, hey, I'm hiring this position. Who do you know? And usually for something like that, I would ship it on a Friday or check it later that week. But literally, I was just in passing, hey, I told my agent, hey, can you just check our network and see who would make sense? And then drafted an email back to her. Literally within 5 minutes of that email, she got 5 names of people who were qualified for the role she was hiring. And then I made intros to, I think, either 1 or 2 of them, like directly right after that. And again, that's very simple, but it's very proactive and it's helpful because if the system works for you, it anticipates your needs. Another key thing that runs is an auto research that runs overnight. So while I sleep, it's a Kaparthi style agent that self-improves. So this thing literally self-improves my own agents and skill sets every night. And we set parameters to it so it doesn't take the average mean. But essentially, if there's a skill set or an agent that I'm running, It auto-researches it and finds the best way to do what it's already trained to do based on what actually works. And then from there, it runs synthetic tests, synthetic inputs against itself to improve itself. And then from there, it reports back to me. And either A, I have to test it, or B, I have to qualify. Do I want to accept the changes, or do we want to keep the existing skill set intact? Because the reason it's able to do this, it's the methodology that I baked into it stays locked in. That's not changing. It's just getting sharper in how it executes that methodology. So it's pretty cool to see a report every morning. My agents are getting slightly better, and there is plateaus. Like there's only so much you can get, but it plateaus. Like when we change something and it plateaus in 2 days. That's amazing. So you take a skill, you take something you're already running, you can run auto research to it, and you can get better literally within a week, and instead of spending months of training. So anyways, most AI agents and skill sets are static. If you do something like this, again, on phase 4, you can improve automatically overnight and get to a plateau. Then you take real world input, test it, and then from there, the testing begins again. Another key thing that runs overnight is per client value intelligence. So this runs depending if it's systemized, like automatic, or if we run it based on a sequence. But essentially, if this client value intelligence, tries to find new ways to add value to clients and creates a game plan for that. Now, it doesn't automatically run it. It automatically runs what we could do for clients, and it brings those ideas to the table so that I can review. And then from there, I know what is going to make sense in the real world, if we should act on it, discard it, or plan it for later, or adapt it based on where the client is at. Another key thing that runs every week is an 80-20 cycle and a monthly content cycle. So for 80-20, every Thursday to draft my Friday daily note, it reviews what did we get done that week? What were the 20% of accomplishment that drove 80% of the results? How do I plan my week to align only to just do that 20%? And then we also review my content calendar, like what are the performance from last month's content? How do we improve? What are some of the hooks and angles that we should dive into? And then similar to how I came up with this podcast and this Substack, I just think about it. I think about it, I dictate it, and then we work through ideas. Sometimes it interviews me, but this is essentially my way of creating more content that's valuable based on my own thinking to deliver to you. And the system runs for me automatically. So essentially stage 4 requires you to bake everything that we learned in stage 1 to 3, and then ask your AI agents, where can you be more proactive for me? If you don't know, ask the agents, codify it, bake it into the system. And when you do, you'd have what I call anticipatory intelligence. And that's a play on words. And yes, my AI agent did tell me to say that, and I did say that. So there you go. All right, so diagnostic time. Where are you at? So here's the simple diagnostics that we're going to dive into so you can self-identify where you're at in stages and what you need to do to evolve to the next stage, because we just went through a lot, I think maybe 30 or 40 minutes of content here. So use this to self-identify and just to recap what we've learned here. So in stage 1 is enhancement. You're in enhancement if you're using AI for specific tasks, but it's not operationally fundamentally change the way that you run, price, or service clients. You're saving time in this stage where you're not creating things that you couldn't do before, like net new value. Your offerings and your pricing, your team structure look the same before AI showed up. That's when you know you're in stage 1. And the prerequisite to move to stage 2 is your IP has to be codified, and you need years or at least hundreds of repetitions of real practice and writing down your own thinking about how you actually operationalize what you do, your frameworks and methodologies and decision trees, so that you can see what AI can amplify and where it falls short. Then you move into stage 2, augmentation. You know you're in this stage if AI is delivering your methodology at scale, not just your tasks, not just your things. It's actually delivering value. Things that used to take 20 to 40 hours are now happening in half a day. And now you're getting to the point like, you're seeing the line, you're saying, what is the new thing that I could do, or the new offering that I can offer my clients, or something that I couldn't do before, but I always wanted to get to. That's when you know you're in stage 2. The prerequisite in stage 2 before you can move into stage 3 is to know how to build agents and to know, or either direct someone who does, and you can articulate your methodology clearly enough so that you exactly know, here's what AI can do, here's what it can't do, here's where I come in. And then also looking at your business itself, what are the 3 core areas of your business and operations, product marketing, and sales that you want to help systemize with AI, and you can actually build and run and execute agents there. Now in stage 3, we're in parallel operations. You know you're in parallel operations if you have multiple agents running alongside you, executing across product, operation, marketing, and sales. These agents report to you and operate with human in the loop, so they're working with you hand in hand. If they're autonomous, they might feel autonomous, but they're not. But you know that they're working there, or you're directing them and you're working with them day in and day out. You're staffing essentially a small team or a small functions of programs that you've pre-programmed yourself or your team has. And you're capacity constrained by thinking, not by doing, especially if you're really focusing on your time, because I know that you can get overwhelmed and burnt out by doing way too much. But your new capacity is creativity. It's what am I not thinking about that I should be thinking about, that we could be doing, that my AI could do for me. That's your real capacity. That's actually the real unlock to know that you're in stage 3. I said unlock. That is not what AI told me to say. That's just what I thought. So the prerequisite to move to stage 4 is a clean, consistent data flowing from your system and reliably knowing what is working, what is not working, and knowing where your agents can be more proactive for you so that it can anticipate your needs that you know and be proactive to create systems to anticipate your unknown needs. And then you're in stage 4, autonomy, where the system now anticipates what you know you need. And it can also, the system itself can help anticipate things that you don't know that you need. So that was actually helpful. Like sometimes my agents, when I come to it with a problem, it solves the problem, and then it goes further and it patches the problem, and it goes further and creates, and I'm like, wow, it did everything I wanted and more that I didn't even know. The system is baked in. It's something that's designed, but it also helps you go further. It might even help you surface things that you didn't even know you needed or gaps. So again, that's what I just mentioned. Your daily plan, and this is just for me, but your daily plan, meeting prep content, or decisions are being assembled on your behalf and synced back to a single source of truth. So your single source of truth is a database. That could be wherever you want to set up your database. And right now I have a local repo, and I also have Obsidian. And again, that can sync to the cloud. That can be like your Notion. And you're spending a majority of your day sitting on judgment and thinking, not just executing, but directing. And that's when you know you're in stage 4. So where is all of this going? So from my vantage point of the firm of the future, if you can codify all of this and become AI native, I think this is going where you can take more risks. So here's what I mean by that. If you can help clients go further, then you can participate more in the upside of the value you create for them in a more bold way and proactive way. Now, co-risk offers aren't new. Like this has always existed. But I think we're going to be seeing more outcome-based pricing and outcome-based deliverables in the agentic era. And the key thing is you can now afford to take more risk if you actually solidified your methodology. You know this is what works. You just have to find the right type of client, the right person, the right offering, the right marketplace, the right mindset to make your methodology work. Because if your thing actually works, if your methodology actually works, and you have agents to make sure that it works, and you believe in what your client does, so there has to be that framing of belief. You believe in the work your client does, or the services that they deliver, the products that they sell, so much so that you're willing to take a risk with them to get a bigger potential upside, as opposed to just saying, here are my normal retainer or hourly fees, then I think that's the firm of the future, to be able to take more risks. Because right now, when you're selling project fees or retainer fees or hourly fees, don't sell hourly, by the way. Well, if you're doing that, you're telling the client you take the risk. Yeah, there's risk reversals and we can make it work, of course, but I think it's even cutting more into co-risk offers with the client where I am taking more risk because I know this thing works. That does require, 1, you to be a real expert, 2, actually believe in your client, number 3, for you to become AI native, to radically redesign how your company operates, delivers value, packages your offerings, prices them, goes to market, and sells, because it's not the same. It literally isn't the same. I'm living proof of that. And that's where I see this is going. And this is what I'm betting on. This is what I'm doing myself. So if any of this resonates with you and you want to co-design how you operate and sell and scale your company in the agentic era, there's 2 ways that you can reach me. Number 1, you can book a call, find a link somewhere here or in the Substacks. You can DM me on LinkedIn, or just reply back to an email that I sent out. Either way, this is Rohit Hernandez. Do good work.